Hi guys, in this video we're going to have a look at how we find fractions of amounts. So I'm going to do two ways here. I'm going to show you initially without using the calculator, and then I'm going to show you, after I've done all these, show you how to do it with a calculator. So if you want to just skip to the end, or sort of halfway through or whatever when I'm using the calculator, by all means do so, because the first half's going to be how you do it without a calculator. Okay, so let's take the first example here of 3/5 of 70. So what I want to do first is I want to find out what 1/5 is, and to do that I divide by 5. To find out what 1/5 is, we just divide by whatever number is at the bottom there, or the denominator. So 1/5 of 70, I need to divide by 5, which of course will give me 14. Once I've divided by 5 to find out what 1/5 is, I can then find out what 3/5 is by, as you might have already guessed it, timesing by 3. So to find out what 1/5 is, 3/5 is just 3 times as big. So then I just do 14 times 3, which will give me 42. Okay, so this is what's going on, and the way that people generally remember this is by saying we divide by the bottom, and then we times by the top. Okay, so this one here, 70, we divide by 5, that tells us what 1/5 is, and then we times it by the top, so we times it by 3 to tell us what 3/5 is, and as we said, that would be 42. Okay, but that's why this works. You divide by the bottom number to get what 1/5 would be, then times by the top to find out what 3/5 would be. So I'm going to use this for all of these that are coming up now. So I'm going to divide 35 by 7, divide by the bottom number, so 35 divided by 7 gives me 5, then times by the top, so 5 times by, in this case 2, because 2/7, which gives me 10. So the answer there, 2/5 of 35 is 10. This one here, exactly the same thing. I've got 54, I'm going to divide it by the bottom number, so 54 divided by 9 is 6, then 6 times by the top number, which in this case is 5, so 6 times 5 is 30. So there we go, easy peasy. Okay, so these are nice basic ones. I'll show you I'm now going to show you a top-heavy or an improper fraction. This came up in one of the most recent exams, actually not this exact question, but a similar one where it was top-heavy. The process is still exactly the same thing. I'm still going to do 40 divided by the bottom number, which is 8. So 40 divided by 8 is obviously 5, and then 5 times by the top number, which is 11. So 5 times 11 is 55. Okay, so we get 55, and as you probably guessed, that because it's a top-heavy or improper, of course it's going to be more than 40 because it's a top-heavy fraction. So don't let that put you off, okay? But the process is still exactly the same. A little bit different when you have a mixed, okay? What I would do is I would convert it to a top-heavy or improper, like up here. So if you can't remember how to do this, check out my improper to mixed video, and that'll obviously refresh your memory. But essentially, to convert this, we do 2 times 3, which is 6. So 2 times 3, which is 6, and then 6, add 1, because that's on top, and then we have 7 over 3. Okay, so to convert that to a top-heavy or improper, you'd have 7 over 3. Okay, so I want 7 over 3 of 24. I'm going to do exactly the same method. So 24 divided by 3, which will obviously give me 8, and then times by the top. So 8 times by 7 is 56. So that there is 56. So if you've got a mixed fraction, just convert it to top heavy or improper, and use the same thing. Divide by the bottom times by the top. Same thing for this one. So 5 times 4 is 20. Then 20 add the top, which is 3, so 20 add 3 is 23, and obviously then that'll be 23, denominator is 4, so that's what it's going to be. So I'm going to work out 23 over 4 of 8. So I'm going to divide by the bottom, so 8 divided by 4 is 2, then times by the top, so 2 times 23 is 46. So that there would be 46. So that's how you do it without a calculator. Divide by the bottom times by the top. I'm now going to check my answers and show you how to do it on a calculator. So with a calculator, it's nice and easy. We've got a fraction button here. If you haven't got one of these calculators, I highly recommend it because using the fraction button here is so useful. So on top I'll do 3 and on the bottom I'll do fifth. And the key thing to recognise here is that 3/5 of 70 of just means times. So I'm doing 3/5 times, oops, make sure you don't do what I've just done there. So make sure you do come out of the fraction by pressing the arrow. So you actually do 3/5 times 70. Press equals, and as you can see, 42. So this here, 3/5 of 70, the of means times. So that's what I'm going to do here, 3/5 times 70. Same thing here. So 2 over 7. So press your fraction button, 2. Denominator 7, make sure you press right to get out of the fraction, times 35, and as you see we get 10, and very quickly I'll do this one, so 5 over 9 times 54, we get 30. So that's when you get normal fractions. Now here, obviously the top heavy will be exactly the same, so I'll just put 11 at the top, 8 at the bottom, times by 40, not a problem, 55. Now when it comes to mixed fractions, this is where you have to be a little bit careful. If you just do 2 and then the fraction, oh, hang on, it's gone wrong. 2 and press the fraction, well, it doesn't even quite work, so I'm not entirely sure how people get this one wrong, but essentially what you need to do to get a mixed is press shift, so you get the little s at the top there, and then press the fraction button. And what you'll notice is you actually get 3 boxes for you to put in your mixed fraction. So make sure you do shift and the fraction button, and then you're okay. Press times, and then obviously then 24, and you get the 56. Okay, so make sure if you're using a calculator, you do, if you have a mixed fraction, use that shift and get, you see it in yellow, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, on your calculator if you've got one, you see it in yellow, you'll have the mixed one there. So exactly the same thing here, I'm going to press shift, get my mixed fraction ready, substitute in all the numbers, so 5 and then 3 is the numerator, 4 is the denominator, times by 8, there we go, 46. Okay, so hopefully that helps you find the fraction of an amount, both non-calculator and using a calculator. Thanks guys, cheers.